Well, guys, I may have made a mistake. So, story time. I was supposed to fix or slash build a Miata for my friend. I was going to build this car for him because it is registered. It's all good, no problems. I was going to buy a car to get an engine for this car, and I found one for $1,000. A Miata running and driving for $1,000. I was like, it's too good to be true. Or a 2-hour drive to go get it, and the guy said, "Oh, come tomorrow." So I decided to go come tomorrow. I don't spend any other day working because there's no point if at 12 o'clock I'm gonna have to drive. There's no point on working for like an hour, then having to take a shower and then go drive. So I didn't get any work done for almost like 2 days, except for in the evening. And then I go, and right as I'm driving out, I'm like, "Hey, I'm driving out right now." He's like, "Oh, by the way, I decided to sell it to a different guy." So I got mad. I got on Facebook and I was like, "I'm buying a Miata today." And because of that, I ended up buying this. I bought this Miata out of an impulse buy, and I'm low-key regretting it. So I'm just gonna walk around and bring all the issues on the car. First of all, something very obvious. He bent in his his door rails, and it ended up messing up this fender. This fender needs to be replaced. This door needs to get new hinges. And then also, this window regulator is broken, so it needs a new window regulator. The front bumper is the color for that car, the blue, and the rest of the car is black. It has something wrong with one of the valves. I'm pretty sure it's one of the valves. It definitely has a misfire, and when I did a compression test there, it showed that it had low compression in one of the cylinders, in cylinder number 2. So I'm going to try to diagnose that. It also has this dent, and it has a welded differential. It has expired tags, and he said it's on non-operational. And also this fading. Even with all of that, I ended up spending $4,000 on this car, and that was with haggling. And originally he wanted no less than 5. Even with all that, I bought it. Now that I've told you guys all the bad things about the car, here are the good things. It's a 96 Miata, so right now these things are going for stupid expensive for the meantime. It has RPF 1s as well as wheel studs, so that RPF 1s are like $800 right now. The carpet is like brand new, except for, not that carpet, this carpet. This carpet is like brand new. It has a head unit. The dashboard has a few cracks, but besides that, it's like pretty good. It has a Nardi wheel. It has leather seats, which are weird. It's definitely aftermarket, but still pretty cool. It has a hardtop. These things are stupid expensive, like $2,000 right now. So that's good. The good thing about the engine problem is it might be an easy fix. I'm going to probably just run seafoam through it for the first time and see if I can fix that. I have these 2 panels off of a different car, which are actually in better. The fender is not in much better condition paint-wise, but these 2 panels, I'll just swap it off. Was this a good buy? I don't know. You decide. I still think it was pretty dumb of a decision to make, but if I'm just going to slide it around, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Hopefully I can make some money off of this because I just want to flip this car. I don't really want to keep it, though it's pretty cool to have, and doesn't have any major issues, hopefully, except for the slight engine valve issue. Hopefully I can sort this out without having to fall into too many things. Okay, so diagnosing the issues with the Miata. First, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to check for any valve leaks. That could either completely kill your engine or cause a misfire. And one common one that I've actually run into is there's a little stopper right back here. Can't see it, but back here there is a hose. All it needs to do is be stopped. It doesn't have any purpose from what I can tell. Kind of like this. It's like this, just in the back. So all you need to do is make sure that you don't have any vacuum leaks. If you don't have any vacuum leaks, usually the next thing I'll do is check for any problems in the motor. To start off with, I already know that it's a problem in the head. To run compression, you're going to want to take off all the ignition coils and take off one spark plug at a time. You're going to need one of these tools. You can actually rent these at a auto parts store. O'Reilly's, I know, gives them and lets you borrow them for a day, just like a lot of other tools. And you're also going to need a 5/8 deep socket. I usually just go from one to the back and test them there. I'll just test 2 of them for now because I already tested them. I know that all of them have the same compression except for cylinder number 2. Now if I can loosen it, then you're going to want to grab the ignition coil. Just find it, flip it on. I would recommend taking it off. Next, we're going to want to check for any burning oil, which actually it might have a little bit because of those white scarrings. This might actually have a bad head gasket, but also has a bed valve gasket because there's oil on the seating, on the rings itself. So that gasket, this gasket is leaking a little bit. I'm gonna need to replace the valve cover gasket, which actually might also be causing an issue, but that one looks fine. We're going to find our compression tester, thread that in. Make sure you do it nice and tight, or else this can pop off and even would take off your threads, which leads to more problems. And then you're gonna go inside and you're gonna crank your engine. Just a couple seconds, and we can see that it's about 170. Let it loose, then loosen this, then retighten it, and then do the same for cylinder number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should be good. And you can see that it's way down there. So this could be a number of things. Now I'm going to run a wet compression test because that was a dry compression test. All it entails is like a tablespoon of oil in there. And if your compression goes up, then that means your piston rings are bad. The guy said that the issue was just a sudden change where it started to misfire. So I doubt that it's that. So I think it's something to do with the valves. But I want to run a wet compression test for sure. Just to make sure that the issue isn't in the block itself, which would suck because that would either require a rebuild or a entirely new block. Okay, so I got my oil here. I'm just going to use the cap, nothing fancy or anything like that. All I need is enough for it to cover the entire piston ring. Try to get it directly in there. I've given it a second, and I just wanted to point another thing out. When I did the test originally when I was buying the car, it would jump from anywhere from like 30 or 60. So it would be bouncing around, which is a pretty good sign that it's just something in the valve, either not sitting right or not being pushed correctly or something like that. Still really low compression, which is a good sign because I do not want to have to take apart the entire engine. Now I'm going to run seafoam through it. What can happen on these cars, which is unlikely with how low compression is, but there could be buildup on the valve seal where the valve like connects. I have taken apart engine, I can show this. As you can see, when these valves, these ones are slightly open, when they go down, they might get stuck on something. Hopefully it's just a bit of buildup on these valve seals. As you can see, there's like a little groove, and hopefully that's what's causing the major problem. So I'm hoping if I can run seafoam through it, that will take away all the problems that I currently have and it'll clean it up. Okay, so I was going to run seafoam through this car, but talking to the old owner, he said he already ran seafoam through it, as well as a couple other things that are supposed to clean out the engine. So that has me thinking that it's not the valve seating incorrectly. It could be something else. Like I'll have to take it apart. First I'll take off the valve cover to check what the issue is, and then I'm going to probably have to pull off the head soon enough. But dang it, I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case, but I guess it's going to have to be for this engine. Well, I am here. The car is sold. So I'm just going to go through a brief rundown of everything that happened past this point in the video. What ended up being the problem was the valve was burned. So I was pretty correct. It was in the head. All I had to do was take off the head, change off the valve, and put it all back together. That was just about it. So it only cost me like, I think it was like $300 because of a head gasket and a valve, or 400, something like that. But just replacing that, and then I hit up the old owner and told him what the issue was, and he's like, oh, that would make sense. And then he showed me a video of him doing either burnout or donuts in it for 5 minutes straight, just holding redline, and then it had the issue. And I'm like, oh yeah, I wish you showed me from the beginning, because then I would know that was the problem, because obviously that would burn a valve. So fixed the car, had no problems. I ended up taking the RPF ones and the hardtop off the car because the car is salvage title, so those parts aren't as worth as much on it with the car. So I ended up selling the RPF ones for $900 and ended up keeping the hardtop for myself, but cost around $2,000. I sold the car for $4,500 and ended up keeping almost $3,000 worth of parts, either for myself or selling them. So in the end, this car did turn out good, which is kind of like a bad moral to the story of don't do impulse buys. But at the end of the day, it turned out all okay. I would not recommend just going out and buying a car, but it turned out all okay. The car is sold, it's out of my hair, and I can focus on other projects. And talking about other projects, more stuff is coming up on this channel. I have a few like restorations and stuff, so stay tuned for that, and that stuff should be coming in the upcoming weeks. I hope you guys subscribe and whatnot. And thanks for watching.